And, I saw him, I think one of the Tiger games where they played Tampa Bay. He came back and was signing autographs. Always a gentleman. So a moment of silence for Jeff Glenn. All right. Now, last week when we were playing, the Pistons were still in the playoffs. And if we were to take this show last weekend, I would have said the Pistons actually need to go out and get a second star to complete this roster. But, there's one young man, you don't forget about Jaden Ivey, but there's one young man, Sir Thompson, had 22 points on the victory in New York and 17 points at the close loss in Game 6. And, he shot 5 for 7, 1 9, 8 for 10. If he could develop just a consistent jump shot with his defense, rebounding, and steals, and I think he'll work exclusively with Fred Vincent because I hope he's over his blood clot issue. I still think that I almost called him Monty. Oh, no, I don't want to make that mistake. I still think the Bickerstaff still doesn't play him quite enough because he's not averaging 20 minutes. But I think if he gets a jump shot, you get Jaden Ivey back in here, you don't need a Kevin Durant who doesn't fit your timetable. He's 36. These guys are in their young 20s. You don't need a Devin Booker. Giannis, I might say differently, but, that's going to cost you an arm and a leg and then another leg.
And a player, too.
Unless you get Nico Harrison up there, the GM.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think that the best thing to do, you've got Ron Holland, still a teenager till this summer. You've got a Sir, 22. You've got Jaden and Cade, 23 each.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Duran, 22. You've got even old man Isaiah Stewart is in his mid-20s, I believe, maybe mid to late 20s. So you've got the makings, and Beasley is about 28. Schroeder, I think he's 30. And some of these are free agents, but Tobias Harris and Tim Hardaway Jr. in your 30s. So you've got a nice mix there. What say you, Jack?
Well, I agree in that I would want to wait to see how Ivy comes back and gels and to see another summer of development for a star. Well, a summer of development for a star. I think that the Pistons are in a really interesting spot right now. They had a lot more success. I think that the Pistons this year are like the Tigers of 2 seasons ago, where they were really, really ahead of schedule, and it looked like a couple of seasons ago we thought Tigers would be playoff ready next season, which would have been, or I guess I'm talking about 3 years ago. We thought the Tigers would have been ready 2 seasons ago when they weren't. And so I think they're just in a really interesting spot where you could go either way. You could try to push your chips all in and try to do it right now. But I think the NBA is different than the NFL. I think there are actual windows of contention in the NBA. You could build something. So I don't think they have to go for the huge splash. But I also think that they shouldn't necessarily stand pat and do nothing, which is really tempting with a team that, finished 6th in the East and was in a position to win pretty much every one of their playoff games. The inclination is there to stand pat. But my issue is I don't know who that second star or who they should be targeting would be, because I don't know whether or not which side of the fence I want them to end up on. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think Durant is the right move. Although, I mean, if Kevin Durant was on this team, there's probably a few more shots that drop. That series looks wildly different.
Yes.
I think. I mean, Kevin Durant, for all what few faults he has, besides the fact that he's old and injury prone, he's still one of the greatest players of all time.
Would he fit in with our culture and our team? Our team is a tight knit team. That's what scares me.
I think the tight knit part would give me pause, but I think the wanting to win and wanting to purely be about basketball and winning, I think that's what KD is all about. But I don't know how good of a mentor to young talent he would be. I would like to give him credit and think that he would be a good one, but I don't know. We've seen examples in other sports of people not having good vets. So, I mean, if you got a chance to add Kevin Durant for, relatively cheap, you have to at least explore it. I mean, he's going to be cheaper than Book. If you want Devin Booker to be that piece, he's going to cost significantly less than Book. He's going to cost significantly less than Zion, which I don't have a problem with the Zion pick in a Zion trade in a vacuum. I think again, he needs to be in a good environment.
When is Zion a free agent?
I would guess after. Well, no, he signed an extension, didn't he?
Oh boy, okay.
I'm pretty sure he signed an extension. If not, he's eligible for next year. But I think he signed an extension.
Because I would kick the tires on him as a free agent. I
I
wouldn't give up any pieces for him.
His problem, and it's not necessary, it's not fair, but I was talking to a couple of my boys before, and yeah, it's messed up that he can't keep his weight together. But have you been in New Orleans?
Yes.
It's really
Yes.
It's really easy to just eat. When Stephen A was yeah, he'll eat the table. I'm yeah, I've been in New Orleans. I would eat the table too, and I'm a regular dude. They're not asking me to come. I'm paying to go. So I'm not trying to disparage the food scene in Detroit at all. It's actually an incredible food scene, but it ain't no places like New Orleans.
Only places I would say New York, probably Miami, but flagship places.
Right.
But I'll say this: if he were to come here, he and Jameson Williams need to get that Coney Island in the house.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Stay off the street.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get the Devontae Adams deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get a L. George's in the crib. I bet they can pull it off.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
With Zion money, you for sure could.
Yeah.
Now we have two voices of the fans today. We are blessed with Q, who has his own theme song, and my main man Mike today to talk as the voices of the fan. So I think Q is ready. Got some words of wisdom.
I got news for
That's how it should be. I want theme music.
What up, though, Detroit?
What up, though, Q?
This is your man Hollywood Q on Bullseye Sports, and I was listening to you guys. I was just looking at the news last night. With Trey Lane, what he said, right? And it made a lot of sense. He said he's keeping all these young guys. He wants them to develop more. But he said, what's his name? Beasley and all them. That's going to be up to them what they want to do. Because the team that young core team that we got, he can find some pieces that can go around them, man. There's so many guys, man. He could mix and match with them, man. I don't see Tobias. Man, I think we can get somebody better than Tobias. But we need a big guy that can bang,
Yes.
that can bang and can shoot free throws, right?
But let's not poo-poo Tobias. Tobias was brought here not to be a star, but to be a steadying presence.
The second time around.
And
The second time, that's right.
Yeah, he about 16, 17 points. And he did a good job on Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Celtics don't have anything to deal with it like that, but we'll get into that later. So he played, and he's only 2 years. So after this next year, I see him probably moving on or at a reduced rate.
Yeah, but I'm looking at a young like Jaden, not Jaden Ivey, like Jaden Duran. But a tough guy. You gotta have a tough guy down there like Stewart. But this guy can shoot and he can make free throws. Because bottom line, you look at the games we lost, I can look at the free throw line and say, if they had just only made them, we probably won the game. We lose the game by 1 point and 3 points.
2 points and 3 points at home.
I mean,
Come on, man.
The Schroeder and Tim Hardaway nonsense at the end of the third quarter in game. What was that game? 6?
4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, game 4.
Game 4. Yeah. You hit that layup that you don't have to worry about Tim getting fouled at the end of the game because you're winning.
And that's why I like to coach, because he coaching these kids, man. He getting these boys together. I see Cyril Thompson on the weights. He gonna come back with a better body. And you're right. Fred Vincent gonna teach him how to shoot them free throws and shoot. And you're right. You gotta let him play. So when playoff time comes, he'll be ready because he can play defense already. Now just think if he can make free throws and he got a confident shot, right? Now with Jaden Ivey coming back, you look at his points. He gonna at least score 20-something points a game. But can him and Cade get along?
That 30 games, they look like they were getting along.
They did? Okay.
One thing about Jaden improved his outside shooting. I believe he was shooting 40% from the free.
Yeah, for 3-point line.
So, hey, that's a big if. And, Isaiah Stewart did not play in 5 of the 6 games.
That's huge. That was huge because he could have banged with that boy. He was manly.
Alternated Duran and Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns.
They the boys.
The stars by the end of the season.
Man, they the boys, but down. Yeah.
But, the Pistons are going to have an interesting offseason. They do not, for the first time, own their own first-round draft pick. And, it would have been, I think, 18th. It's been traded so much, it's like a cigarette in prison.
Yeah, but they got the 37th pick.
It's going to, and now I think Minnesota they have the 37th pick. So hopefully they can get either a great college player or a stash and grab.
Yeah.
And, see what they can do.
I
think the future.
I'm looking at free agency.
Yes, they might be able to have one more. I don't think Paul Reed will be back. So I'm thinking that maybe one more low post player.
Yeah.
Now, Mike.
What's up, Detroit? This is Mike with his important question relative to the Detroit Tigers. We in a position now, we in the best team in baseball.
Now we're talking basketball. Now we're gonna get to the Tigers after the break.
Okay, well we'll stick to basketball. He stole my question because my question was, what does the Pistons need to do in the offseason to make them more competitive next season? Since he stole the question, my question now is, who is available in a reasonable price to put that missing piece into the puzzle where we make at least past the first round of the playoffs?
I've heard Laurie Markkinen at Utah is available. But Danny Ainge is like a vampire. He's gonna suck your blood and try to get as much as he can out of you.
I've seen Naz Reid mentioned if he declines his option.
That was before the fight, but
Well, they'd be all right. I've seen Bobby Portis mentioned. I can see Bobby as an interesting bench.
That'd be it.
Bobby's good as your 8th or 9th guy. I've seen Nikhil Alexander Walker mentioned, which I think is an interesting piece. He definitely will defend and fit in that role. I don't know if he gives enough offense on the wing.
Because I guess you're saying that Minnesota is above that apron, so they're going to be looking to.
They just got new owners.
I know Nas is a free agent.
Yeah, and whatchamacallit, A-Rod and them not trying to spend that second apron money.
That's funny because A-Rod spent most of his career with the New York Yankees out spending money.
Yeah,
now he gets to be owner. He gets to be cheap.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
You ain't spending that much.
It's different.
Well, and plus, A-Rod only got $1 billion. George had like 1 or 2, but he had the Yankees making brand every year. The Yankees' most valuable brand in sports. The Timberwolves are a brand in sports. So,
sidebar: do you think they regret Karl Anthony Towns trade now?
I mean, kinda, but not really, because they're still in the position they're in. And again, like we mentioned with the Rocket series, it's really hard to judge a team playing against the 7 seeded Warriors. Like, they shouldn't necessarily even have had to deal with this. But having said that, no, I mean, yeah, Cat is playing out of his mind, but the T-Wolves, finished 3rd in the West and playing,
6.
Oh, well, they did all right.
But they were only 1 game behind the
Exactly.
Lakers to finish 3rd.
Yeah, that's.
But you know what I think, Jack? I think that Julius Randle, and in some instances, Dante DiVincenzo brings a toughness to that Timberwolves team that were Karl Anthony and Rudy Gobert, the Twin Towers, they didn't have.
Twin Jello Towers.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's something to be said that they definitely have an edge. And I think it's one of those rare trades that I think worked out for both teams because New York has enough goons and Cat is able to be his entire self in New York. And I think on the flip side, I think Ant was the only goon on Minnesota, and he needed an influx of toughness to help even out the rest of them. But man, the games this round have been incredible already. I mean, the shot Halliburton hit and the Sam Cassell dance that followed after. The 2 Knicks wins. The craziness that's that Denver and OKC series. So we've truly been blessed with awesome playoffs. I know we're not going to touch on it a lot, but the hockey playoffs have been almost probably even more insane. So it's just been an awesome month. So
let's talk about these 3 series because these 3 series are crazy. And I just pulled this stat up. Julius Randle has a player option. Santiago Aldama, maybe. Bobby Portis has a player option. John Collins has a player option.
Yeah, there's some.
There's some. Yabusele, the Frenchman, has I guess signed a 1-year deal at the Olympics. So there are some potential players out there that they could get through free agency and not have to lose any of their core.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, Pacers, Cavs. you know, Donovan Mitchell, for all his good play, and I think he'll be probably second team All NBA this year, has still never made it out of the second round.
Probably won't.
This year it looks better because he's got three of his star players injured. And Mosley, Sexton, who else? is on the bench?
Sexton, Garland.
Oh, the sixth man. They just got DeAndre Hunter. So, and you know, I saw him flying through the air, falling. Dude, when you have three of your players over there in street clothes, you don't need to be one injury away from starting the second unit.
I mean, but you can't go down 0-2 either. I mean, they ended up doing it anyway, but I mean, I know his thought process was, I have to do everything we can to win this game because we were on 0-2 without all these dudes, and now we gotta go to Indy. We are in TRUBL.
How does Indy do it?
Man, they just like,
I mean,
I hate to say it, but they just grind it out. I mean, the most dangerous lead to have apparently is a 7-point lead with less than a minute to go on the Indiana Pacers. Like, Halliburton is so calm under pressure. They don't panic. They have a plan, like, in those moments. And I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of luck. Like, you know, the rebound coming right to Halliburton. But, like, he also broke his defender down off the dribble to get space for the three. So they are talented. Like, they are good at the game. It's obviously helpful that Cleveland is down 3 starters. But you know, Cleveland's giving it all they got. They had them.
because at one time they were looking to trade Miles Turner.
Yeah.
And he's come up huge for him. But you know what? I would, as crazy as it sounds, I would love to see a Knicks Pacers Eastern Conference Final.
Oh yeah, like back in the
Reggie
day.
Miller announcing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have a slew of Knicks that'll be available then. So, you know, I think out of the two that are down 0-2 in the Eastern Conference, I think the Cavs are in more trouble.
Well, yeah, I think the Cavs are definitely in more trouble because their problem is less fixable. They're not just going to magically get healthy. Boston can, magic is probably not the right word, but Boston can turn around and make shots, which has been their biggest issue. And for all the problems the Celtics have had shooting the basketball, both games have been one possession type deals. So, you know, they're shooting 25% from three. They're taking 100 threes in 2 games, which is crazy. But
that's how they play.
One, that's how they play, and that's how they played all season. You have to be who you are. But 2, you know, regression to the mean works both ways. They're not going to shoot that bad the rest of the series.
One would think.
Math wise, they should. So I don't know. They're still really talented. They're doing it without KP. Porzingis has what they're calling viral illness. Duke clearly has COVID. Like, he can't. They say he can't breathe and all this other stuff. But it's just really interesting. Kenny was talking about it at halftime. They constantly are hunting threes instead of getting easy baskets, and they need to focus on getting easy baskets. If they do that, I think they're in good shape. But doing it at the Garden is not for the faint of heart. They're battle tested. They're one of the few teams, you know, that in this playoff that is this battle tested still. But it's gonna be tough.
But you know, KP, Kristaps Porzingis, except for last year, his heart has been questioned a lot.
Yeah.
And is he satisfied with 1 ring? Could that be why he's?
I don't know. He got cracked in the head pretty good in the first series, and you know he came back out here.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't. Yeah. I won't necessarily not question his heart. I will question his heart, but I'm not going to sit up here and say, no,
I
you
hear you.
shouldn't. But, you know.
But I will say this: the Pistons playing the Knicks put some heart in the Knicks.
Yeah.
And they're playing more heart. And you see the Celtics look like they don't have much.
I think the Celtics thought that this was going to be sweet.
You lose 2 20-point leads in 2 games.
Yeah.
And lose them both by 1 possession.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, let's just say it, the Knicks are 5-0 in 1 possession games.
I mean, they got the clutch player
In
of
the
the year.
playoffs.
They got the clutch player of the year.
Yeah, that's a third of the playoffs that they won 1 possession games.
Yeah.
So other than the 11-point winning versus Detroit.
Are some of the you got to learn how to win issues mitigated by the fact that 3 of their rotation won all those games at Villanova together?
It might. I have an idea for a commercial when they show Dante Sad.
Yeah.
They have Isaiah Stewart, Marcus Sasser, and Ron Holland Jr. come out with their fist balls.
Okay. Yeah, I love that.
And he goes running. But, I think that connection, and they won a title at Villanova, is huge, makes a huge difference.
And now the Pope went to Villanova. I don't know, man. It might be written. Knicks in 4.
The Knicks fans would never. Oh, boy, they'd be unbearable. Stephen A. is already unbearable.
I'm about to say
He's already unbearable. But you let him win. You let him mess around and win a title.
Oh my God! They're the team I want to win the least. Even though I kind of want them to win, just to see Knicks fans finally be happy. But I also don't want them to be happy because they're gonna be unbearable.
Yeah. And another interesting point: the Celtics were sold for $6 billion.
Yeah.
And these
To
new
a guy
owners,
nobody ever heard of.
I'm sure these new owners are penny pinchers, much like the Adelsons in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Could they be looking to trade a Brown or a Tatum?
I mean, well, God, yes. I mean, that's $300.
That's $600 million on 2 players.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, unequivocally, yes. Although this guy's a lifelong, the main owner is apparently a lifelong Celtics fan, so maybe not. But nobody knows anything about this new ownership group, so they're very opaque. I don't think anybody even knew this guy had that much money. So, yeah, we have no idea. I would love if he actually said, "No, I got it," because Grossbeck put the team up for sale before he signed Jalen to the extension. So if he was going to scare off buyers, they would have already been scared off. So maybe old boy is like, nah, we good, we're gonna ride it out.
Yeah, you can always find somebody who wants to stick his chest out.
When you run a hedge fund, apparently the money just keep coming in.
Yeah.
So
now in the Western Conference, these are all 1-0. Timberwolves and the Warriors. And it's interesting, the Warriors won on the road in Minnesota, which is a theme in the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost Steph Curry for at least a week.
Mm-hmm.
I think the series for at least a week. So I think out of all the 4 favorites that are down, the Thunder and Nuggets are tied up. But of all the 4 favorites, I think the T-Wolves still with that injury are sitting in the catbird seat.
Yeah, I think that team is not good without Steph. I mean, they're solid, but I mean they're not championship ready without Steph.
You're going to put I forget. I'm looking at his name from the Bahamas.
Buddy Hield.
Mm-hmm. Buddy Hield. I saw something that Jimmy Butler was calling him Butter.
Yeah, he said that's what. He says that's what.
No, it's Buddy. Buddy is short for Butter.
That's what he said.
But I think that Ant-Man is not going to have another bad game like that. And I think that they come out, I think, tonight and even it up.
Yeah, I agree.
And, that one will probably go 6, maybe 7. But on the flip side, Nuggets Thunder.
They
is Mark Daigall a good coach? I don't know. I don't know. He has all that supposed talent, but I can look at in that first game when you are doing things. I mean, you don't call timeout. You don't. You're doing things. I think that hurt you in the long run. Now, I think as we talked before, I think the Nuggets just decide, okay, we won one. Mm-hmm. We're just gonna rest on our laurels and go back home, which is always a mistake because just as you won one in their gym,
right?
They can win one in yours,
exactly.
But you win 2, you really put a hurting on them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Chet Holmgren. I think good players. They made him a little early.
Yeah.
Missed those free throws. Mm-hmm. And then the most maligned person in the NBA, Russell Westbrook, came down, made the correct pass to Aaron Gordon on the wing.
That's right.
Who hit the 3.
Yeah. I think that series is really interesting because, like you said, if they did take their foot off the gas, if Denver took their foot off the gas in Game 2, then you really don't know how good the matchup truly is because, it came down to the wire in Game 1, but then, OKC had a historic performance in Game 2. And, it's just how good are they? How good is Denver really? Are they the team that was able to hold them off Game 1, or are they the team that blew out Game 2?
When you have Jokic, you can win 4 games in 7
right.
series.
And I mean, you got altitude at Denver when you get back. That's a great equalizer. Even though OKC is young, and likes to run and likes to play defense. It's still a challenge.
Now I mentioned Dagon. Well, we don't really know about Brandon Adams. He came into the playoffs undefeated.
Right.
It's 3-0, but I don't know that he is going to. He comes from a family. Rick Allen, his father, famously lost to the Pistons with the Blazers, but I don't know if he's going to. I don't know what veterans does he have. Veteran coaches does he have on that bench?
I'm not familiar.
Okay.
I'm not sure. He's probably got a couple because Malone had a good, reputation throughout the league.
And I'm sure they went and got some more, hopefully got him a coach so that can help him out. But, that series is going to be interesting as well. But these playoffs are going to get good. They are good.
Yeah.
And every night is must-see TV. And Q and I can remember the days. Jack, you can't remember this, but the finals used to be taped delay.
Sure did.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you would go into the 11 o'clock news. Don't listen if you're gonna watch the game next.
That's right.
Because they would tell you the winner.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to call guys and tell them, don't tell me the score, please.
Mm-hmm.
No, at least based on names, and assistant coaches can often be the unsung heroes. But the only name of note on the Denver coaching staff is Popeye Jones, and I don't know how long Popeye has been in the assistant game. But those who can't do teach. So I'm not gonna say whether or not he's a good coach or not, but I will say that's the only name of note on the coaching staff. So I think he's doing it He's doing it himself.
Well, let's take a break right here, and we've got the Tigers, U of M Lions to talk about on the other side of the break. You're listening to Detroit Bullseye Sports, found on the YouTube network. Dabo presents Detroit Bullseye Sports.
Yeah, you might be able to do that. You know, uninstall this. See this app right here? I can't uninstall it. Try to get rid of it. So it keep running. I'm out there. About to grab, but it should, you know, but it should keep going. If it's going, I have customers. I ain't got no blame, no nothing. I'm like, don't go out while I'm driving.
That's how I got you.
You know, I got an on-stop. Right? You know, all they gotta do is just how they address.
No, I'm saying, I'm talking about with the Dabo
The
app.
customers don't like it.
And you the only one when I heard your name.
Yeah, one of them little smart ass customers. Like, no,
Right.
you supposed to like it, I'm going. Asking you, what kind of left driver is you? Yeah. You know, then be the ones that called in on. And then they give you a couple days off and all that stuff.
Right.
Oh, yeah, man, you can't please.
And I tell
I
you,
was driving the Chinese lady from Crandall.
yeah.
She's already acting all strange, like she ain't up there around black people. So she, like she not. And she tells me, okay, I gotta go down the street to take her to a house. Okay, no, just let me out right here. Just let me out right here. So I look down and say, man, you okay?
No, I'm just saying.
I take that. No, just let me out right here. So I let her out. Well, half an hour later, I'm driving. They done said, somebody said that you look like you were drunk. This is a Chinese lady now. They called in. They give me 3-4 days off. First of all, I'm a recovering addict. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't get high, I don't do nothing.
Right.
I don't be nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I'm a 5-star driver because I coached them out. I say, if I'm a 5-star driver, y'all
Okay, so I'm gonna let
consideration.
you go put on your onesies and
I told her that she was a weird face anyway. I said, why do you think I gave her 1 star? So I'm not paying her no more.
All right.
I bet she was a school teacher too.
It looks like the Bible app.
Yeah, it's Bible app.
I don't even see where it
You can uninstall it?
is to even uninstall.
Yeah, because see, when it pops up, it tells me that this is the Bible app, but it will drain your battery. I said, well, shoot. So I had a couple of them, but I uninstalled those.
Baseball.
That's the only one I can install.
What, you trying to get your singles.com app off the phone since you got married?
No. I did that before I got married. Hey, I'm slumped up. I ain't plumped up. Look here. Oh man.
I don't use Android, so I haven't used it forever. So I don't even know how to get to that.
Yeah. But it be on the side of my head like this. I don't understand. Right here. She tell us stuff about that. That's what grandma.
I know it's gonna check.
I had about 3-4 Bibles up there, right? I had to install them. That was the only one I could get.
Halliburton got warned for his dance. He left. You ready? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, you got the mic there. What was Dewey talking about? What was Dewey talking about?
All right, we're back. Detroit Bullseye Sports, Dabo presents on the YouTube moniker. We're back to talk about our Detroit Tigers, which just won a doubleheader versus the Colorado Rockies, the 6-31 Colorado Rockies, 10-2 in the first game and 11-1 in the second game. Now, with our Tigers, you know, some unsung heroes. Casey Mize is 6-1. He is 6-1. He was not promised a slot on the 25-man roster at the opening day, but he has probably been our best pitcher. Javi Baez, remember him? The one that they spent millions of dollars, 6 years, $140 million. He is batting over 300, playing center field. You know, when you get Meadows, Perez back, Javi's going to play somewhere. I'm still thinking third base. You know, Torkelson is average is going down, but, you know, I can live with him hitting 240, 30 home runs, 120 RBIs. So they are doing very well. Their best record in the AL, I think they're either second or third now in all of baseball. I think only the Dodgers and maybe the Mets. But, you know, it's not, they're doing very, very well. You know, I saw a stat where, you know, Dan Campbell came in second or third for Coach of the Year. AJ Hinch did the same thing last year. And JB Bickerstaff also came in third. So, you know, we've got a good stable of coaches.
Yeah.
And I think right now the Tigers are only behind the Los Angeles Dodgers at 25-12 with their 25-13 record. 25-13. So they're doing very well. Now, Mike had a question he wanted to ask about the Tigers.
Yes, my question is: the Tigers is top of the game right now. What are the predictions of you guys? Is the Tigers going to win the World Series in 2025?
Well, we saw an early preview of two of the hotter teams, the Dodgers, where they clearly played them close in 2 of the 3 games, but lost all of them. And then they played the Padres, which are only a couple games behind the Dodgers. Game and a half behind the Dodgers. They won 2 out of 3 against the Padres. So they can handle, I believe, the National League. Now, I think, and Jack can speak to it too, they might need one more bat.
Yeah, I think that.
Whether or not those bats come from a trade, free agency, or minor leagues, or even when they get injuries back. Because I think Austin Meadows is a game changer in center field. If you get that back, he's got elite speed that we have good team speed now, and Joey Cora has him running a lot, but Austin Meadows has elite speed. Parker Meadows. So I think if we get that back, that's an element that we haven't been showing right now.
Yeah, I think I don't know if win the World Series is the right wording, but represent the AL in the World Series, I think is definitely a good shot. If they continue getting the production they're getting from the players that they're getting production from, I do think they probably need a bat. But like you said, they have players on the DL that they can, the injured players that they can get back.
Come on.
and would be as if they were acquiring new players. Tigers have a really good record at home. I think they've only lost 3 games at home.
13-3 at home.
So if they can continue that momentum, once if they can get home field advantage in the playoffs, I do think it's still really early to be thinking about seeding and that kind of stuff, whether or not they can win the World Series, because it still hasn't even warmed up yet. But they're absolutely in a better spot than I thought they would be at this point in the season.
Yes.
I think they're, ESPN's got them top 5 in the power rankings and as the number 1 team in the American League. So,
Yes.
whether or not they can keep it up, I'd like to think they can. There's no, the Tigers don't necessarily have that track record of, we'll see what happens. They're typically, they are what they are. This is a good baseball team.
As Jack said, if this were basketball, we'd be at the halfway point. We're not even at the quarter pole yet.
That's right.
So,
Well, here's my prediction.
Uh-oh.
It's Q. It's my prediction.
Q Stradamus.
The Tigers are on a pace to win 90 games this year if they can keep it up. Now, Casey Mize, remember I was saying earlier this year, he got to put up a shove, and so far he's putting up. Now, we got a good 5-man rotation. That ain't even including the bullpen. You know what I mean? And we got one of the best coaches in baseball, in our coach, because he's a good motivator, right? So I'm predicting that they win 90 games. Now, how far they can go, I don't know, but I do believe because with all the 162 games, I do believe they're gonna get better in the middle. Then let's see how they play in the National League. Now, they play in the National League and beat the National League. I think they can go all the way, man.
Looking at the standings, their main competition is still in the Central. Cleveland is 22-15, only 2 games behind. Kansas City is 23-16, 2 games behind.
Oh.
And Minnesota, I think, has won 8 out of 10.
Come on now.
They're about at 500.
Yeah, right.
So, Seattle is having a good season, and the Athletics are having a good season in the West.
Yeah.
And the usual favorites or usual suspects, Boston and New York, are atop the American League East.
Well, who got the best pitching staff?
Mm-hmm. And the Tigers have 6 good starters.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Cy Young, Therese Skubal, Casey Mize, Flaherty, the young guy, Jackson Joe.
Joe, that's bad boy.
Then you got Kyler Montero.
Yes.
And I'm missing one more. Because they went to a 6-man rotation.
Yeah.
And
that's gonna save their arms, man.
All of them are doing well. So, hopefully that will tax the bullpen and you'll be able to do, go into it because AJ started a 6-man rotation about 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
To save the arms for the long haul.
For the long haul.
And this is the same team last year that had 2-3 openers per 5 starts.
Right, that's right.
So he's found success either way.
He ain't even started pitching the bullpen yet.
Yeah.
Because last year he was pitching the bullpen. They was having games with just the bullpen just pitch.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Opener. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's still wait and see. I know we had Bruce Fields on here 2 weeks ago, and he was saying wait till they get to the 40-game mark to see. And they're 3 games away from that, so we'll be able to see. Now, we had a bit of a shocker in U of M football as Sherrod Moore got a 2-game suspension.
Who?
Sharon Moore.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And basically what it was, and Jack will get into more detail, he erased his phone or computer about messages he was getting from Congress Stallion. But, to all my young friends that think you just dump stuff, put it in delete, there's a way to find everything.
Right.
Now, they said there was no incriminating evidence, but just the fact that he misled the NCAA. And interestingly enough, Michigan is asking for it, not the first 2 games, because in the second game this year, they play Oklahoma, which is what? Where Sharon Moore played football.
Yes.
So I think the Central game, that's funny in itself, and the Oklahoma game will be the games he'll be missing.
Wow. Man, is the Michigan coaches ever gonna get over this stuff, man? Every year is something.
I didn't know Clinksdale and somebody else got show cause.
Well, all right, let's do some level setting because y'all sound quite, it's not incensed, but it's not that big a deal, is really what I'm trying to say. There's Clinkscale and Minter got show causes because they'll never coach in college football again, so they don't care. Harbaugh, whenever this is completely done, is going to get the longest show cause in the history of show causes, and it's not going to matter because he's never going to coach college football again.
No.
That plus a show cause doesn't mean you can't hire someone. It means what it says. It means you have to show cause that hiring this person is not going to lead you to create other violations. The stuff Minter and Clinkscale are accused of or in trouble for is not even illegal anymore, or not illegal is the wrong word. It's not against the rules anymore. Clinkscale's punishment is longer because he cooperated less, and by less I mean absolutely 0%, as opposed to Jesse Minter's like 5%. The NCAA has no power left, and Michigan is helping them show some semblance of remaining power by even offering up more games of suspension for this nonsense. They could just say, go to hell. We'll go to the committee. The committee will come back with whatever they come back with, and then Michigan will sue, and then we do it. But Michigan is allowing them to save some face. Because, yeah, sure, I think people have been suspended enough, but whatever.
Yeah.
Now, do you think this had something to do with Ono's leaving?
No, Ono left because of the DEI stuff. The football athletics means nothing when you're hiring a president. I think that us as sports fans were much, and this is according to people on the board and people that work for the school and whatever, sports fans were much happier with Ono's performance than the people that actually matter at a college of that size and significance, which is the faculty and the students. People have said that the job was just too big for him. He doesn't align with the politics, as you can see by him going to University of Florida and all the stuff they're dealing with. He's going there willingly. So no, Ono left because he was not the right man for the job. Academically, he would have been. I think he would have continued being great football-wise, athletic-wise. But like I said, that's like 5% of the president's job, even at a school like Michigan. Yeah, this is enough. This whole suspension and whatever is a nothing burger on top of the nothing sandwich that this sign stealing stuff has been from the jump. But yeah, I think Michigan should just tell them to screw off completely, not even offer the 2 games, but whatever, fine. And even when he did delete the text messages, he was able to recover. He was the one that recovered them because it's not like NCAA doesn't have subpoena power NCAA can't hire anybody to hack your stuff or whatever. He gave them the information they asked for. So for them to turn around and suspend him for that is stupid at best, but it's the NCAA. So what are you gonna do?
So long term, this hurts Michigan none.
Yeah, I mean, unless they lose to Nebraska or something, or even worse, they lose to Oklahoma, and he was on the sidelines for that. But no, I mean, the last time Michigan's head coach got suspended, they won a national championship. So,
Because I hear this is different. I know Harbaugh got to coach the practice.
yeah, they closed
He
that
will
loophole.
not. Yeah, he will not be able to coach
because of Harbaugh. He does not. He's suspended the whole week. So that's the other part. They wanted to get the game plan in the first 2 weeks. And the other piece, this was still a leak and not official. This is a proposed punishment that Michigan is self-imposing. And if the NCAA says it's not enough or it should be more, then it could change.
Because correct me if I'm wrong. During the championship season, they proposed something. The NCAA said no. They said screw it.
Yeah, there was a lot going. There was talk that they were going to challenge the Big Ten's suspension, but then they backed down in the court hearing. There was talk that they were going to drop bombs on Ohio State, and that never happened. So I think what we're running into is it's the league war right now. And Michigan and the NCAA both are not supposed to comment on active investigations, but the NCAA has gone out of its way to multiple times in this investigation, quote unquote, explain themselves. So, now that Harbaugh's going, they should be done being mad at Michigan. And I think this should be the end. This will probably be the end of it.
Hopefully. I would be remiss if I do not talk about friend of the show, Scott Perry, getting the job at Sacramento Kings. He has hired B.J. Armstrong to be his number one man, his assistant.
Wow.
And he's decided to keep Doug Christie, which I think is a decent move. I'm sure he's probably looking for a point guard, which is De'Aaron Fox, who he drafted in his 3-month stint with the Sacramento Kings. Would have known he was coming back, might have stayed. But congratulations, Scott. Wish you nothing but the best. Now, we cannot go to a show without talking about our Lions.
Oh.
And I had to find another spin because we can't go. What is you gonna do? I've heard about the schedule, how hard it's going to be. It's the third hardest schedule out of the 32. But I'll say this: you've got Cleveland on the schedule, who's got 5 quarterbacks. And you know the saying, if you have 2, you don't have any. So what does it mean when you have 5? Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback. I hate it for Mike Tomlin, but I see maybe his first losing year. Cincinnati doesn't have a defense. Now Baltimore's going to be a tough game.
Always.
Kansas City's going to be a tough game. But then you go to, and you've got the Rams. That's going to be a tough game. Your annual game against Tampa. I don't know what Tampa's going to be this year because they drafted a wide receiver. It was widely thought of because they were unsure of, I forget his name, he tore his ACL. Chris Godwin. But now I'm hearing that they drafted that wide receiver because of Mike Evans maybe retiring soon. So you don't know what you're going to get down there. And Baker Mayfield's had 2 good years. He's due for a down.
That's your argument for Baker. Baker beat them this year.
Yeah, he lost him in the playoff.
Oh, okay.
I mean, no, I take nothing away from Tampa. They are a good team.
All right. Well, let's I got the opponents. The schedule has not been announced yet, but the opponents have Ravens. I'll go. It's at Baltimore, but toss up. Chicago. The at Chicago one is a toss up. At Cincinnati, they should win. I don't think Cincinnati has done enough to get any better. The Lions don't have enough for Jamar. I don't think still, but I'm not sure that. I don't think Cincinnati will be able to stop the Lions.
Would Joe have enough time to find you?
Yeah. Home against Chicago should probably be a dub. Packers at home is probably a dub, even though the Packers are a good team and are improved. Lions seem like they have their number. JJ coming into Fort Field, I don't see it, but it's possible. Minnesota is a very good team.
But everybody else suffered big losses in the NFC Central in terms of players.
Mhm.
The Lions,
I mean,
Minnesota always retooled.
Minnesota retooled. I think Chicago retooled. I think Green Bay lost. I think Green Bay for sure lost the most. And they still haven't figured out what they're doing with Jair Alexander. I'll say Minnesota is probably a split.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys, I'll never pick the Cowboys to win a game until they actually do it.
They play the Cowboys at home for a change, right?
Yes. The Giants ain't got nothing. The Browns ain't gonna have nothing. Pittsburgh, they always play them tough. So I know they don't have a quarterback, but they ain't really have a quarterback last year.
The last time they played Pittsburgh was the year that I think Campbell's first year, the year they only won 3 games.
Yeah.
And they tied one. Pittsburgh was when they tied.
That's right.
At Pittsburgh.
They're not beating the Chiefs, but it's gonna be a good game. I think they.
No, you glossed over that one, man.
What? I mean,
I think they
I think
can
it'll be a good game.
I think they can.
Of course they can.
Whether or not they do.
If it were in Ford Field, I would not have said that.
But then I'll say this.
That will probably be the second game of the season, though, or something like that. It'll be a primetime game, whatever it is.
Oh, it's gonna be a primetime game. You think it'll be overseas? That's the one thing.
Germany game.
I do believe the Lions are gonna play an overseas game this year.
Yeah, I think so.
They're overdue.
I think they're playing overseas.
I think it might be the Chiefs game because the Chiefs are the flagship team for Germany, and both of them are overdue.
The Lions and the Bills should play a game in Toronto.
Lions are also in the Hall of Fame game.
Yes, against the Chargers.
So they've already got an extra national. It doesn't count the same, but it's still a primetime spot. But as we saw last year, Lions are one of the NFL's flagship franchises right now. So at least I would expect at least 5 of these games to be primetime.
Yes. I think the Lions are going to win. I think they were saying that the Lions are going to have the most primetime games.
It should probably
they American dollars now. Everybody want to see the Lions.
Well, I can tell you which one. Philadelphia will be a primetime game.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That'll be the first. That might be the first game of the season.
Is it?
No, they haven't announced yet, but I'm saying just like as an idea, they're gonna. It will be Philly because they won, and so they'll depending on who's on Philly's schedule. I haven't looked at Philly's schedule, but it makes the most sense.
Do you play Washington because that's the team you beat to go to? Well,
They play the Chiefs too, so they might just do a rematch.
Yeah, that might happen.
They might just do a
Last
Super
year,
Bowl rematch.
yeah, Chiefs.
Or that could be the Christmas game because the Chiefs
But,
are ass.
Jack, I think you would probably like the Lions to lose to beat Kansas City because that's the last time you won a Super Bowl.
Yes.
That'd be good luck, Sean.
Yes. Hey, I'll take it. That's what it takes. That's fine with me.
They will have a decent season.
Philly's schedule does not set up to look as. I mean, they got Buffalo and Kansas City and the Lions, but that's about it.
Who else do they?
I mean, the division.
They have the Ravens too, don't they?
They do not have the Ravens.
How do they not have the Ravens? Because the Ravens won the
were in first place.
Yeah, they gotta play the Ravens.
They do not play the Ravens. They must have finished they finished second in the division, didn't they?
Who
Okay.
won it?
No, they did. No, they must have. I don't know. They played the Bills.
Next week,
Because you play everybody in your conference that finished in first place.
They played the but see they played the Bills, they played the Chiefs, they play the West, so that's Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos.
Who they play in
Their
the Central?
schedule gonna be released next week.
Well, not the Central, the North.
The North, they played the Lions, the Bears, the whole North.
No, in the AFC North.
Oh, it's not on here, so it must be them. It must be the Ravens.
But you know what, guys? I truly believe that the Lions' toughest opponent will probably be Minnesota. But having said that, they beat Minnesota 5 straight times.
Come on now.
I can root for JJ because I'm not a true Lions fan and can thus wish him success.
If you're a Lions fan, you reform 15-17.
So I don't know. I obviously I love JJ, but I do not think that he's not going to come into Ford Field and beat the Lions. I don't think. Although he's built like that, he went to Columbus and did it.
I don't think the Packers. I don't know.
I don't think the Packers have enough. I think they've lost pieces on defense. They made some changes, but I just don't think they just don't have it against the Lions either. The Bears is going to be the one because I don't know who they're going to stop, but I don't know how the Lions will stop their boys.
I'm not sold on the Bears.
Okay,
because of
let that hurt out.
I just don't know. We just don't know what type of coach they have.
Okay,
Is he? Because did you know his voice?
let that hurt out.
Have you ever heard Ben Johnson's voice?
I know,
And that's not a slight on him, but I knew a man from New York, Aaron Glenn.
yes,
I knew him.
yep.
I knew what type of leader he was. I don't know. Ben's talking all the right things now, but let it get cold and you start hitting. It's a whole new story.
I'm not even thinking about that part of it, but I hear you. That's important. I'm not dismissing that at all. All I'm saying is, y'all was over the moon about the offense the past couple of years, and now that same offense has equal, if not better, pieces in some areas. I'm just gonna be like the Monique meme and say, I would like to see it.
The Monique meme with where she told Shannon Sharp you could get an older girl.
Not that one.
Oh, okay.
This is a little bit older, but it's Monique saying that I would like to see it, and I would like to see this Chicago offense with Caleb and Loveland and Swift and DJ and et cetera, and Coconut. Still, I want to see it.
People were talking about trading DJ Moore.
Yeah, crazy people.
No, you
Exactly.
don't want to do that.
Crazy people.
And they went out and got a running back too, didn't
Yeah, man, they nice.
they?
On paper.
He's got now. See, the one thing that they were able to do here is keep everybody happy. Now, DJ might not be happy.
DJ wasn't happy last year.
Exactly.
So I feel
Winning cures a lot of that, right? But when you have an offense, and I know I
plus
was
Ben gonna let him play quarterback soon. You know DJ gonna be the trick play quarterback.
yeah, better than Jameson.
Well,
But Jahmyr Gibbs' coach, Tashard Choice, says that he could be a 2,000-yard back. And I truly, truly believe that.
Yeah,
And it's not like he's going to need 400 carries to do that.
that's right.
he's gonna hit some.
Once he hits that crease and it's over, it's over. Yeah.
That's it. He don't.
You know, if you had a relay team of him and Jameson Williams, his last two legs
There you go.
would be.
Yeah. Him and
You
James
know, you've
Williams.
got Amara St. Brown, you've got the
They got-
tight end, and I'm excited about this wide receiver we got from Arkansas.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're gonna have the pieces, and I think with John Morton, not to be confused with Johnny, because I got excited when they said John Morton. I said, Johnny, you started his name.
Me too.
But he seems like he's going to be more the adult in the room. And what Jack was alluding to, you know, I've said that I think that playoff game and even the game against Minnesota, there were too many trick plays. And they basically tricked themselves out of the win in the playoffs with a lot of these trick plays.
All they do run the ball.
Trying to find a spark. But yes, you can go too
Just
far.
run the ball.
The Lions are best when Jared Goff throws 20 to maybe 28 times a game, and you run those running backs. So I think that they'll look at that formula, and I think they'll have success.
I think that they're still going to keep the Lions are still going to keep most of the DNA of the quote Ben Johnson offense because it's really Dan Campbell's offense.
Yes.
So I'm not too worried about the drop off there. I just think it is a tough schedule, but a lot of the tough matchups are at home. I think the toughest road games are going to be the Chiefs and the division, the Chiefs and the Rams.
And Philly. You have to go to Philly.
Oh, well, then never mind. The road schedule is tough.
But you know what? We're not playing the AFC North like it was when they had three teams make the playoffs.
Right.
It's not going to be that murderer's row.
Correct. One of those teams is very good. One team is solid. That's Bengals. And the rest of the teams.
Bengals have holes.
I think they got less holes than Pittsburgh.
It depends if they sign Trey Hendrickson.
Pittsburgh got a better coach, though.
You don't sign Trey Hendrickson, you got a huge hole.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be an interesting season. I think we're going to be up for some double-digit wins, and hopefully, this is the big hope. No injury, no, not a lot of it. You playing football, right? You're going to get injured, right? But not 16. Because if you look at 15-2 with basically a new defense out there, what you started with was amazing. Yep. But you know what, Jack? We get to talking, and before you know it, it's time to go.
That's right.
And, you know, we want to thank our board man, Luke, who always keeps us active and running. You know, our man of the hour, Q, and our new man, our main man, Mike, who came in and just fit right in. So I'm gonna sign out from Detroit Bullseye Sports. Dabo Presents. Find us on the YouTube moniker. Say what up though till next week.
Good night, Detroit.